Romania's new president has been sworn in. I swear to defend democracy and the fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens. Less than a day after saying these words, the Romanian parliament has already announced consideration of a bill forcing social media platforms to remove so-called illegal content within 15 minutes of publication. The bill calls for, among other things, limiting the reach of so-called potentially harmful content to a maximum of 150 users, banning the promotion, limiting the propagation of potentially harmful content, mandatory automatic classification of content by algorithms. With just these basic points, the law is already a danger. In the case of censoring potentially harmful content, automation may prove helpless. Automated systems may not be able to accurately assess the context of statements, causing them to misclassify jokes, satire, or legitimate political criticism as harmful. This leads to so-called false positives, mislabeling content as dangerous. Fearing penalties, social media platforms may act preemptively and restrictively, removing any content even remotely risky as a precaution, which in turn leads to a chilling effect. Users will begin to self-censor for fear of being banned. As a result, the new regulations are more likely to harm freedom of expression than effectively counteract disinformation. However, this law presents many more dangers. The draft contains quite a few vague, broad and discretionary definitions such as potentially harmful content or harmful use of technology, dangerous disinformation, misleading, which can lead to arbitrary decision-making. Some are concerned that there is a risk of overly restricting freedom of expression. If the law passes, Romania could become a censorship pioneer within the European Union. After the victory of the pro-European president in the elections, Romania wants to be the EU's front-runner in restricting freedom of speech on the internet. And probably, if a similar scenario were to happen in Poland, we would also be the EU's front-runner in fighting freedom of speech on the internet. Such an attempt has already been made in Poland. It was heralded by Minister of Digital Affairs Krzysztof Gawkowski. This is an important act to protect the citizen, to give him a chance to be safe on the internet, so that illegal content on the internet can disappear quickly, so that we can protect the citizen, and, potentially, to result in serious consequences for the citizen. Abstract criticisms of people with a given trait on the internet would definitely be punishable by imprisonment up to 2, 3 or even 5 years. As is happening in the UK, The Times reported that in 2023 alone, police made more than 12,000 arrests because of online activity. That's about 33 a day. A similar situation in Poland was prevented by President Andrzej Duda, who sent the law submitted by the Justice Ministry to the Constitutional Court. The left-wing currents that shout so loudly about tolerance and diversity are the first to block the ability to speak out. They are the first to ration language, to define free speech as strictly as possible. This is a repressive, draconian law. It resembles in its essence all those things that went on in the dark times of communism. This law should be called On the Repression of the Polish Nation.
To jest ustawa, która powinna się nazywać o represji narodu polskiego.
In a recent interview after the first round of Poland's presidential election, centre-left pro-European presidential candidate Rafał Trzaskowski straightforwardly admitted that he would sign a law introduced recently that would be similar to the one in Romania. If you were president and not President Andrzej Duda, would you sign this law on hate speech, which was referred to the same by Adam Bodnar? I'm in favour of there being no hate speech. But this particular law that President Andrzej Duda did not sign a few months ago, would you sign it? I've said that I'm in favour of stricter laws on this issue. But would you have signed it? Yes. This risk is very high. Tusk coalition and also Trzaskowski, who is his deputy, directly say that these tools will be widely used. Trzaskowski's rival candidate, Karol Nawrocki, has promised he'd veto the law. I would never sign something like that, especially since the ideological catalogue that wants to be attached there would cause many thousands of people watching us today to be charged. On the 1st of June, voters will decide not only who will become Poland's president, they will also decide whether the internet will be censored.